Supplementing for performance and/or muscle gain makes up the largest categories of the nearing $12 billion a year sports supplement business. Whether you're a weekend warrior just trying to make yourself better every day in the gym or in your sport, or an elite athlete making $10 or $25 million a year, everyone wants an edge, and everyone wants to go. Or, as I like to say, play as long as they can, and at the highest level they can. Getting and keeping that edge and extending your play span, as I like to call it, which is doing the things you love to do for as long as possible, requires utilizing constantly evolving nutrition and exercise evidence-based protocols, including the proper integration of individualized dietary supplements. Additionally, because of improved methods and frequency of drug testing, college and pro athletes are seeking healthy, legal alternatives to illegal or potentially dangerous pharmaceuticals to help enhance performance. And to be fair, a sports and fitness professional's job is to help maximize the competitor's potential during high-level competition by leveraging all available, safe, evidence-based resources. Now, the good news is that polls show at least 90% of competitive athletes reported regularly using dietary supplements. Additionally, about 85% of health club participants regularly use dietary supplements to enhance health or exercise outcomes. So this is a great opportunity for us to help them do the right thing. Now, all that said, our last session gave you the bad news regarding commercial practices of dietary supplements. And the sports supplement category is by far the biggest offender. In fact, a study found that 80% of supplements purchased in 4 different mass retailers did not contain the label ingredients, or worse, contaminated with drugs including steroids and amphetamines. So again, just say no to mass retail supplements and stick with practitioner products only so that you can build and protect your brand. As opposed to my competitive days, yeah, believe it or not, that's me, when we didn't even have creatine, there's now strong scientific evidence supporting the use of legal supplements to safely improve exercise-induced performance and muscle gains compared to a non-supplemented state. Proper supplementing has been regularly shown in clinical trials to safely improve recovery, increase muscle protein synthesis, and increase time to exhaustion, and training-induced size or performance for many athletes. So let's go to the rationale for performance-enhancing supplements. It's pretty obvious. Competitive athletes and exercisers constantly seek physical improvement to remain competitive in their respective sport, or simply enhance exercise sessions over time, as with exercisers. So the rationale for supplementing is to go beyond what proper diet alone delivers to help avoid training plateaus, since properly designed, unaccustomed exercise always opens the door to potential gains. You may not have known that. However, despite the constant initiation of muscle protein synthesis by exercise, positive training progress slows dramatically with age and experience, and training plateaus become common occurrences, leading researchers and athletes, of course, to believe that something is missing nutritionally in the pre or post exercise period that would otherwise continue progression from proper unaccustomed training, or at least until the unavoidable time of age. In other words, exercise is only a continual trigger event for the desired result, leaving nutrition modulations to deliver the progressive outcomes. These conditions set the stage for dietary supplementation that we'll be discussing next to enhance training outcomes when all else is equal, and training and diet protocols, including meal timing and pre and post workout formulas, as discussed in the last section, are already optimized for the desired progression. In other words, proper supplementation can take you to the next level. As it relates to age, eventually, as in all aspects of life, age will become a factor in abating progress. This inevitable decline can be prolonged to a point where one has the greatest potential to not just extend their athletic success or playing lifespan, but also remain self-sufficient throughout life. Okay, from here I'm going to talk only about effective, safe, and legal supplements that have a direct effect on enhancing performance or size and proven to work for the vast majority of designated users. If I do not mention any particular compound, then it does not at this time have enough clinical evidence to support a direct effect on performance or muscle hypertrophy, although it may have an indirect long-term value based on a specific user's physical condition, such as the use of glutamine or other stress-related recovery supplements common among athletes during prolonged, intense training and diet cycles. Furthermore, in this session, we'll discuss supplements in only summary form, which will give you all you need to make a safe and effective recommendation so you can stand out from your peers. For those that want to get deeper into dietary supplements, we offer many advanced supplementation platforms and teaching venues. All right, let's get started. And we'll start by restating the goal, naming the supplement objectives, and listing the compounds that work within the objectives. The goal of performance and/or muscle gain supplements is as follows. When training and diet protocols are the best the athlete can do, along with everything else being equal, supplementing should improve exercise-induced performance and size outcomes when compared to a non-supplemented state, so that every training session builds on the previous to avoid plateaus. In other words, getting better as long as possible. The objectives to accomplish this goal, or shall we say supplement targets, are 1. Supply energy-enhancing compounds to improve or maximize the training session or competition. Supplements that work in this category: creatine monohydrate, caffeine, beta-alanine, and carbohydrate loading as well. Now, we're not going to talk about carbohydrate loading. That's a whole different protocol, okay? But the other ones we will discuss. The second objective to accomplish the goal is to speed recovery from prolonged or intense training bouts through minimizing protein breakdown, while maximizing synthesis to produce continuing muscle and performance gains. Creatine, again, is one of those supplements that can do that, and of course essential amino acid supplementing as well, which includes like branched chain amino acids and leucine, which are part of the essential amino acids. The desired outcome is accomplishing a greater prolonged accrual of gains as opposed to a non-supplemented state. And one more disclaimer before we get started. Even with supplements in any of these categories that are proven to work, results will vary individually based on the physiological state of the user, such as genetics, diet they're currently taking, age, and psychological state, which means if they're in a stress situation or placebo responses of this particular user. Now, that said, for the greater majority of these listed supplements used and manufactured properly, they live up to the objectives we just discussed. Let's start with creatine, since without a doubt, it's the powerhouse in both objectives with many potential applications, including in health and aging. But we'll stick to performance, including strength and muscle size. To make this section easy, we'll use the same summary format for each supplement. Each supplement will be referenced to a comprehensive document describing its goal, rationale, mechanisms of action, typical use, contraindications, and much more, all tied to the latest scientific peer review references that support its safety, efficacy, and proper use. In other words, we didn't make this stuff up, and you're bulletproof with these recommendations, so let's get started. The goal of creatine supplementation is to increase the muscle levels of creatine and speed the regeneration of creatine phosphate, which is its activated energy form, beyond what can practically be accomplished by diet alone, in order to benefit strength and power activities that are dependent on the phosphocreatine system as an energy source, such as sprinting and weightlifting, and its carryover of strength and size gains to a specific activity, including sports requiring repetitive bursts of speed, power interrupted by periods of rest and low-intensity movements. In other words, specific sports we call intermittent athletes in team sports such as football, baseball, rugby, hockey, lacrosse. A second common recent application for creatine is to potentially slow aspects of aging in partnership with exercise. The rationale for supplementation is the simple fact that creatine is in skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscle, and plays an indispensable role in energy metabolism. The phosphorylated form, phosphocreatine, provides immediate energy source for the brain and muscles. Thus, the primary rationales for creatine monohydrate supplementation are to increase, replete, and prolong this indispensable energy source. And on that note, creatine supplementation can increase skeletal muscle total creatine content at least 15% and up to 24% in some people, and 9% in the brain. All right, let's talk about mechanisms of action for performance and hypertrophy. There is universal agreement that creatine supplementation increases anaerobic capacity by 1, increasing intracellular levels of phosphocreatine, allowing intracellular levels of ATP, the famous energy molecule, to be maintained at higher levels for longer periods of time, thus permitting athletes to maintain a greater training intensity and quality of each workout throughout an entire training period, of course, leading to greater overall performance gains. And then 2, creatine supplementation can also delay fatigue by attenuating exercise-induced decreases in muscle pH. In other words, buffering that dreaded lactate acid that makes us stop working, and allowing less reliance on glycolysis. Creatine supplementation has also been shown to increase satellite cell proliferation, which are the cells found in skeletal muscle fibers that promote their growth, repair, and regeneration. Creatine supplementation also has been able to enhance insulin-like growth factor signaling, increase growth hormone, and lead to reduction in serum myostatin, which is that horrible sort of system that it actually inhibits muscle growth. It can also improve neuromuscular functioning by facilitating the reuptake of calcium into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Say that 3 times real fast. It can also reduce muscle damage from high-intensity training and endurance exercise. And creatine supplementation works across the board for performance and hypertrophy. Results from multiple meta-analysis reviews, and by the way, a meta-analysis is an aggregation of hundreds of studies reflecting results. So results of these meta-analyses using only creatine monohydrate, now remember that's important, so none of these other forms of creatine we're using these, versus placebo, lasting anywhere from 1 to 10 weeks. Here you can see some of the results here. Muscle strength and performance increased by 8% in 1 RM, which is your 1 rep to max, and increase in reps per set, 14%. These are giant gains, of course. In body composition and performance, studies show a 7.5% increase in improvement from baseline versus only 4.3% in placebos. Other studies, hypertrophy results during 6 to 12 weeks of training, you see anywhere from a 1 to 6 pound increases over placebo in all age groups. Creatine supplementation also demonstrates performance and lean mass increases in older male and female adults with no change in kidney function. That's something very important to remember. So a question I always get is, will creatine enhance aerobic activity? So I tried to put the latest research here, including proposed mechanisms of action to potentially affect aerobic activity. There are actually 2 areas in endurance activities it may help. First area is where creatine supplementation may enhance a single event through changes in energy substrate utilization, at least during the early phase of aerobic activity, that may help to decrease time to exhaustion. Second area, creatine supplementation may attenuate cardiovascular and thermoregulatory responses during prolonged exercise in heated environments. So what that means, it improves how your body handles heat. And then 3, because creatine supplementation can offset acute decreases in strength following aerobic exercise, it may be of use to cross-training athletes. Now, where creatine supplementation may benefit ongoing events, creatine supplementation can increase muscle glycogen stores post-exercise to potentially enhance the next bout of endurance activities. In fact, and this is kind of a mind-boggling number, glycogen resynthesis during the first 24 hours of creatine supplementation was 82% greater versus placebo in one of the studies. Pretty significant. Creatine supplementation also promotes cell survival during stress, suggesting a recovery benefit for endurance athletes. All right, now let's talk about typical use that actually supports all these claims we've discussed. The most common and successful creatine loading and maintenance strategy I will summarize here. But for all you science geeks out there, please go to the accompanying document we pointed out to earlier, where all the creatine references are, for specific directions, including how to use it by weight. But basically, let's make this simple. You start by taking 5 grams, split 4 times daily, with a carbohydrate or protein-containing meal or drink for the first 5 to sometimes 7 days if you're a much bigger person. You're now loaded. Thereafter is called the creatine maintenance phase. And you take 5 grams once or twice daily, and twice obviously for the bigger person, for the duration of the supplement period to maintain maximum creatine stores. On training days, use 1 dose before workout and 1 after with meals or drinks such as your pre-post workout protein shake. Now, because of myths and misconceptions around creatine, before we move on, there are a couple of final notes worth mentioning here. However, for more on these topics, they are all very detailed in the accompanying references. All right, so first, let's talk about safety. Safety is well established in many studies. 25 years of successful, safe use in performance, recovery time, and recently health. In fact, these studies have shown no progressive effect to cause negative consequences to the kidney function and health in already healthy individuals with proper dosing. No negative kidney effects found in aging population use. In fact, taking 10 grams a day for over 5 years by elderly Parkinson's disease patients yielded no detectable adverse effects. Okay, let's talk about myths regarding cramps and health and injury and so forth. In long-term use studies, and these are studies starting from anywhere from 8 months to 4 years, they have found no negative health effects, including muscle cramps and injury. In fact, creatine supplementation actually has a positive effect on muscle cramps and dehydration, as supplementation has been shown to reduce muscle cramps by up to 60%. And creatine supplementation, as we discussed earlier, increases total body water, which can reduce your sweat rate, reduce core temperature, and exercise heart rate, thus improve hydration and thermal regulation in athletes exercising in heat. And creatine supplementation shows no negative effects on kidney or liver in healthy users. If you're wondering about creatine in youth athletes, no study has shown creatine monohydrate to have adverse effects in children. In fact, long-term creatine monohydrate supplementation to the tune of 4 to 8 grams per day for up to 3 years has been used successfully as adjunctive therapy for several creatine synthesis deficiencies and neuromuscular disorders in children. That said, the International Society of Sports Nutrition position stand on creatine supplementation has included that post-pubescent youth athletes, generally greater than 16 years of age, should consider a creatine supplement under certain conditions, such as he or she is involved in serious competitive training, is eating appropriately for their sport, and his or her parents approve and understand the facts concerning the effects of properly supervised creatine supplementation. All right, so let's go to a summary of all this. What's the purpose? The goal of supplementing creatine monohydrate is to increase the muscle levels of creatine and speed the regeneration of creatine phosphate, leading to greater exercise-induced outcomes. The potential beneficiaries: any adult athlete seeking to improve training outcomes related to increasing muscle and improving strength and power in activities such as sprinting, weightlifting, jumping. These benefits may also translate to other sports requiring repetitive bursts of speed and power. In other words, specific intermittent athletes, as in team sports such as football, baseball, soccer, rugby, hockey, lacrosse. Another group: athletes with low creatine intake or biosynthesis who perform high-intensity activity. Additionally, other beneficiaries: older adults seeking healthier aging and improved daily living as recommended by a qualified physician. And then any exerciser desiring to break a performance plateau in any related activity. It may improve their motivation and their activity longevity, as we always like to call play span. And then in aerobic and endurance activities, even though the jury's sort of out, athletes to potentially delay fatigue, especially under high heat conditions, and assist post-exercise glycogen resynthesis and other recovery processes. All right, now let's move on to the evidence-based supplement beta-alanine, which is often used with creatine to enhance performance and/or size through activating different and synergistic targets.